The following podcast contains naughty language and ridiculous situations. Listener discretion is advised.
You know, while last week was episode 501, but we definitely didn't have the blues because we had a great mystery guest. And I'm pretty confident we're going to keep that train going. So I think I'm very much looking forward to the discussion this week and with yet another mystery guest. So I think, you know what? Let's just fucking get down to it. And welcome to Trick or Treat Radio.
Welcome all you little zombies. You're listening to Trick or Treat Radio, starring the Deadites.
Welcome to episode 502 of Trick or Treat Radio. Trick or Treat Radio is the world's most dangerous podcast and is recorded in front of an undead studio audience here at Castle Wolfenstein, also at the Lair of Lost Swag within the Raven Chateau and the Lair of the Gods. And soon to be joined by a fourth location. We'll connect up with our guest in just about 20-25 minutes. Looking forward to this. To have our guest on, Raven Shadow. Raven Shadow, you handpicked this guest.
I did.
So you're to blame.
Thank you.
If it goes well or if it goes bad. I don't expect it to go bad, but you're going to get some credit here. And you get credit for last week. You had a great guest last week. Look at you.
I think I think as the assistant to the producer, I think I'm doing really well and expanding my new role.
You're like the assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah. No, I think I'm like second producer.
No, you're definitely not second producer.
It seems like I'm second producer, Johnny.
To you, maybe.
Maybe in your own mind.
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Do we have to go back to calling you the name you don't like?
Do we have to go back to calling the name you don't like? I mean, we can do that.
What name do I not like?
There's some names you don't like.
Like? What's the name you don't like?
I don't know what he's saying, but if he says it...
Well, glorified grip.
I do have Kung Fu grip.
I forget the one that Aries didn't like.
Oh, he doesn't like a couple of them.
Yeah, we removed some from Aries, I forget. But
no, I think I've been trying to contribute and expand my role, Johnny.
Trying is the key word. Yes, you've been trying. I appreciate that.
Well, I think there's been some execution to that.
Yes, and you've been doing a good job,
Yes.
but it doesn't mean you need to exaggerate your title.
Well, just check out my LinkedIn account.
You already had it there.
I'd be amazed if you had one.
Yeah, you know what LinkedIn is?
Yeah, no, I have access to it. I just gotta ask Marion my passwords.
Jesus. Oh man, I forget what we did give you another title, but I forget what it was. Do you remember?
Yeah, it was Awesome Sauce 4000.
Nope, don't think that was it. Definitely not it.
I think it was, but no, I think I've been trying to help you, Johnny. I understand.
Oh,
listen,
POA. That's it. I looked it up. Public Outreach Associate.
I am the Public Outreach Associate. Yeah.
Are you proud of that? I don't even know what that means, really. But
I don't know. Maybe fucking let me know when I have my fucking year-end eval.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Hey, you're trending towards a 3 right now.
That's good. That meets expectations.
Yeah, those. What if those expectations are low, though?
It's true. But no, I've been trying to do outreach, Johnny, and I think we're trying to add something different. I understand you like the Atlas of podcasting. There's a lot of weight on those shoulders, those very broad vegan shoulders you have.
I thought you were talking about like a map, like an atlas.
I don't. Who held the world up?
Well, yes. But Aries knows what I'm talking
You
about.
weren't wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't wrong. But for some reason, both of us thought map when
Map,
you said
like
that.
an atlas, like a world atlas, you know?
What? Why? Well, that's foolish.
Like
Why
Tony,
would you think-
like Tony Atlas.
Yeah, AKA
Cellophone.
hit my cell phone. I hide money for myself sometimes. Thank you, Vince McMahon.
Okay. Yep.
But no, I'm trying to help to be a co-producer.
No, you're not a co-producer.
There you go again.
Public outreach associate.
All right.
Let me ask you a question.
Thank you.
What does a producer do?
This is gonna be fun.
It makes the fucking magic happen. I mean, I don't know. It touches the.
Okay, you don't know what it does, but yet you want the title.
I don't want to do it. I just want to have that on my credit. I want somebody. I want to facilitate it.
Here's the thing, Aries. He doesn't care how he gets more titles. He just wants more.
He just wants more titles.
He thinks they're like title belts.
Yeah.
The more he has.
You know what, this isn't a movie. Producers actually do something in radio.
Yeah, I know, but I'm assisting the producer.
So
He's
that makes you assistant to the producer.
Thank you. Senior vice president to producers.
No.
Why?
That makes you sound like you're above the producer.
No, because he's the what's higher than senior.
Lead.
Nothing.
The
I'm
lead.
so I'm thank you. It got back to me. I'm vice producer.
No.
I will produce. I produce the vices for the show.
Well, that is. Okay, I can't argue with that.
You don't produce the vices. Your mother produces the vices.
She
You partake in them.
I partake in the vices. Yes. Fun.
Oh boy.
Oh, we're off to a rocking
Yeah.
start here.
Yeah. So,
Good. Really
so-
good.
anyways, we're gonna do a bit of an abbreviated intro because we are for those watching live, we're running a little late. That's nothing new for us, but I had to reinstall all my camera software for some reason because it just kept crashing. So, and then we had some other stuff, but it wouldn't be a normal wouldn't be a normal show if we didn't have some sort of technical difficulties, I guess. Let's see. Evil Corny commented, this is 4 minutes ago. Once again, I always lose context when I read it after the fact, but he said 2.5 on his best day, Wolfie. 2.5.
I believe that's the rating system.
Oh, yes. That's a good call there, Aries. And we also have Tim Chuma says Bombaleo. So tonight we're going to be talking about the movie Fresh. It's a Hulu exclusive, starring. Let me do a Raven Shadow here. Trying to think of his most prominent role. He'd be like Winter Soldier, right? Starring Winter Soldier, right?
Yeah.
Sebastian Stan. He is much more than Winter Soldier, though. Raven Shadow.
Right. He's also Tommy Lee.
Yeah, that's true. He is Tommy Lee. He plays a
Also,
pretty good Tommy Lee too, I think. I saw the first episode of that show. Did you watch any of it?
I started watching. Yeah, that is what I watched last night.
You forgot in one day.
It was a weird night.
I would be surprised if a night wasn't weird.
John, you don't even know what's going on over here, man. It's weird.
I probably don't want to know.
I'll show you pictures.
Mm-mm.
I took some selfies.
Is it like anything that happened in the movie Fresh?
No.
We haven't seen your basement in a while. I don't know what's going on down there. You do have a mud room.
I do have a lot to talk about that movie, but no, I think Sebastian Stan's dope, man. He's great.
He should be Luke Skywalker too.
He should be the fucking Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, he
I
should
think
be.
let's just fucking enough. Yeah, let's recast the fucking Star Warriors at this point.
The Star Warriors.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to talk about Fresh, and we do have a mystery guest coming up in just about 15 or so minutes. So, do you want to give a tease, Raven Shadow, about the mystery guest?
I think we'll save it.
We'll save it. Okay, there you go. We'll save it. So that's what's going on for the show this evening. Let's see, ton of stuff going on. I'm trying to remember everything, but I probably won't be able to. I'm the only one that cares about this, but baseball is fucking back, baby. Came to a labor agreement today, so I'm excited about that. I'm not the only one?
I love baseball.
How much?
I mean, a lot when it comes to 2004, 2007 Red Sox, but I'm not,
right. You don't know anything about baseball now.
Yes, I do.
All right, tell me, name one of the pitchers on the Boston Red Sox.
Fucking.
Yep.
Sale, Tim Sale.
Tim Sale.
Not Tim
the comic book artist.
Yeah. He did the long Halloween. Then threw out the no-hitter. Chris Sale.
All right. That's not bad. Know any others?
Yeah. Mike Timlin.
Yeah, once again, 2008.
Tim Wakefield.
Yeah, once again. Okay.
Papelbon.
So it's a big fat no.
Yeah.
There's been like last weekend. We talked last week about the Batman. Has anyone seen it by any chance?
Nope.
Raven Shadow, did you see it?
Not yet. I do know our mystery guest did see it, though.
Oh, okay, cool.
Have you seen it, Johnny?
No, I haven't. I saw that it's gonna pop up on HBO Max on April 19th, so I may just wait. I don't know.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah, so it's gonna wait the minimum amount of time, but I'm feeling maybe a little bit more okay. Like the funny thing is with all the the craziness going on in the world, like no one's talking about COVID anymore, so it's like hard sometimes to get news about it, because there's obviously some other important things going on in the world. So, it's difficult to get updates, and I haven't really been tracking them down either because, just a lot of shit going on right now. So things are looking pretty good though, but, we were saying that right before Omicron hit too, so who the fuck knows, right?
Yeah, kind of sad when the pandemic takes the back burner.
Yeah, no shit, right? Yeah. Gotta be something pretty big. So, yeah, I mean, that's exciting, but the thing already, there's already they've announced a couple spin-offs from the Batman movie already. You know what? Maybe we should save this. We have someone who's a big fan of comic books and very knowledgeable, so maybe we'll save it. I think that might be smart, Raven Shadow, right?
I would agree. How about did you hear about the director of Black Panther? His little run-in at the bank?
Oh, Ryan Coogler.
Yeah.
I saw something about it, but I didn't really look too deep into it.
Yeah, basically he was masked up at a bank, and he handed a teller a note that the teller thought that was like, I'm robbing you.
Oh, geez.
But,
oh, yeah, okay.
But it was like, please don't say the dollar amount I'm taking out right now.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, mistakes were made on both sides of that. He walked up, hat, glasses, mask, wrote a note on the back of the withdrawal slip. Like, I mean, you could simply give the withdrawal slip and say, count this in back. Like, he didn't need to write a note.
It seems like a bad mistake. A mistake was.
Oh, that's what I mean. Mistakes were made on both sides. I'm sure the fact that he was a photo negative of the teller prompted the police call.
Yeah. That's kind of shitty. That all around. Let's see what else. Oh, do you guys watch the Obi-Wan trailer?
I did.
Aries? No?
I did not. I didn't even know a new one came out.
Oh, yeah, it dropped yesterday.
Yesterday.
What'd you think of that, Raven Shadow? Without saying anything, because Aries hasn't seen it, but.
Are there spoilers in the trailer?
No, but
Yeah,
I want you to have a fresh experience. I don't want him to.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Kenobi dies in the Death Star. No, I think I think Ewan McGregor was literally probably the best part of the prequels, and he looks great. It's funny now he's probably getting closer to the age that 20 years from this series, he'll be the age of Sir Alex Guinness. But I
call
love
him Alex.
Alec.
Okay, thank you.
Alec. Yeah, Alexander Guinness.
Is that your favorite beer maker?
Yeah. I do. Give me a couple of Alexander Guinnesses over here.
Evil Corny says, I saw the Batman and loved it.
See? Corey didn't like it.
Yeah, I've seen some. I mean, I've seen mostly positive stuff, but I've seen some mixed. But we'll talk about that later. Trying to think if there's a couple. There was a couple other things I wanted to bring up, but I'm just kind of drawing a blank on them right now. But yeah, the Obi-Wan trailer looks fucking awesome. I was already hyped for that show, but now I'm like beyond hyped. So I cannot wait for that. Oh, and I guess yeah. Once again, maybe I'll just wait for comic shit. Like, seems silly to talk about it now. I guess yeah. I'll wait. There's some DC news with some of the DC movies, like shifting their release dates and stuff. Well, you know what? I don't know. We can just fucking go into the whole fucking spiel and start to kind of wind down because, yeah, a lot of the stuff that we would normally talk about in the beginning, we'll probably talk about after the film discussion. So yeah, just excited that baseball's back. There's a lot of, like, good stuff going on in the world. There's a lot of bad stuff going on in the world. So it's kind of status quo. Nothing really has changed all that much. What was that? What does that mean?
I got fucking oil today, Johnny. Fucking $5.34 a fucking gallon.
Don't you wish you had ordered it like a couple weeks earlier?
Literally, I called. I was off on Tuesday because I had to take care of some stuff, and I called around 11 o'clock. And I'm like, oh yeah, the prices are going up. I'm like, yeah, it went up 3 times today. And I'm like, can we pretend I called at 6 a.m.? And she said you should have. And I'm like, okay. But yeah, $5.34 a fucking gallon.
I mean, I live in an apartment, so I don't know what that means, but is that significantly more than usual?
Yeah, it means earlier it was 5.25 the last time I got my tank filled, and now it was 9 something.
Oh, I thought you said it went up to 5.34. I see what you're saying. So it more than doubled.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fun. It's fun. So like, even though I started putting like $20 in my gas tank for gas, it feels like I'm putting in $10 again.
So your whole thing doesn't really work. Getting $10 in gas, you can't do that anymore.
Several of my things that I'm doing.
It won't even get you home.
Yeah, no, I'm just gonna stay here. I'm not going out anymore. But it's
all right. So let's continue on with the wrapping up this segment here, and then we will add our mystery guest to the call in a few minutes, and then we'll shoot the shit with our mystery guest, do a film discussion, all that goodness. So if you guys want to help support the show, there's a couple ways you can do so. The best way, and the way that you can get something in return, is to head to patreon.com/trickortreatradio. There, you'll be able to support the show for as little as $2 a month. And you'll get access to all the Patreon exclusive episodes. And Raven Shadow, you had another good idea for the Patreon show. Maybe we might go with that for, I think we're going to do one this weekend if you're still available. So,
yeah.
And then we also had a suggestion from one of our recent guest co-hosts about a segment for the Patreon, which I think will talk about that as well and maybe do that the next month. So got some cool stuff for the Patreon shows. So we'll be recording that this weekend, and that will be available for you guys soon. So keep an eye out for that. But if you are a listener and you're not a supporter, you, as I mentioned, you can support for as little as $2 a month, and you get access to all of those Patreon exclusive episodes. There's like 31 now, I think. And it's a little bit of a different format. We talk for about an hour, sometimes 45 minutes to an hour 15 usually, and it's more of a focused discussion, whether it's a specific list that we're talking about, whether it's a topic, whether it's a comparison point, whatever. And that's typically what we like to do for those, and have slightly different format than we might on the regular show. So you guys can check those out, and there's other tiers. You can get up into the Patreon Takeover tier, in which you will get to program the show and come join us on air. So that's always an option as well. So give it a look, patreon.com/trickortreatradio. The other ways you can support the show are to go to trickortreatradio.com, scroll down, look for the Amazon logo. You click on the logo. It's going to bring you to Amazon. It's going to input our affiliate link. And everything you purchase in that session, buy one thing, you buy, I don't know, buy some dog wipes for Ollie or something, Raven Shadow, maybe you buy a new TV, whatever. Like, you buy a little, you buy a big thing. With our link, we get a small percentage, and it doesn't cost them any extra, Raven Shadow.
But it's another way to help keep the lights on.
That's right. So it's another way to support us, and you don't even have to be proactive or really even give us anything. You just go about your shopping, click on our link first, and you can even bookmark it if you want. Just bookmark it so you don't have to go to trickortreatradio.com every time. So you can do that. And finally, we have the store on trickortreatradio.com. Go there, click on store. It's going to bring you to the storefront, and there you can buy some digital content. We have the greatest hits of Trick or Treat Radio volumes 1 through 3, and it is the highlights, the lowlights, the midlights, everything in between, the songs, the arguments, the interviews. We get a lot of stuff on there. So you guys, we're on episode 502 now, and if you haven't been aboard for all 502 episodes, I don't expect most people have. But you can get a nice little sampling of our history there. So give that a look and check it out. Let's see. I just had another thought that slipped out of my mind. Raven Shadow, do you keep up on AEW by any chance?
I'm trying to. Not as much as I want to, but I try to stay as fresh as I can. But I've heard some news.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you hear who showed up last night?
Was it Shane?
No.
Okay. Who showed up?
Does anyone care about areas you don't really watch, right?
Not religiously. I pay attention here and there.
So you don't care, Raven Shadow, if I say?
No, because I've been trying to follow it. I listen to Talk is Jericho, but yeah, it's not what I thought.
So Jeff Hardy showed up.
Really?
So now the Hardy Boys are back together in AEW, and looks like they're going to get a nice tag team run, which is pretty exciting. And also William Regal showed up on the pay-per-view as angry British dad, and it was fucking awesome.
What was the pay-per-view?
It was Sunday. This past Sunday.
Oh shit.
Yeah, it was fucking great. It was a really good show. Bryan Danielson fought Jon Moxley, and Danielson's been trying to get Moxley to team up with him. And then after they fought, like, Moxley basically said, I don't team with anyone I don't bleed with first. That's kind of his thing. And so then they fought, and they had a match, and it was fucking brutal. It was awesome. And at the end of the match, they were still going at it. And then Regal comes out, and he like slaps the shit out of both of them really hard and makes them shake hands. It was like when you're a kid and you're fighting with your like sibling. Well, I guess Raven Shadow doesn't know what that's like, but so I'm not shaming you. I'm not like sibling shaming you, but what was that? But yeah, he comes down like like the dad, trying to break up the fight and slaps the shit out of both of them, and yeah, it was pretty awesome. So some pretty cool stuff going on in AEW, and
Really? It's a bummer because normally I watched the last PPV. I'm surprised Thomas Smythe didn't let me know because we could have hung out.
son of a bitch, wow,
I could not have hung out.
or he didn't want to is really what it's saying.
No. You remember my reasoning for not wanting to do the Patreon this past weekend?
Oh yes, yeah, that's right. You were away.
I was away.
Did you have fun?
I did. I had a joyous time.
Did I mean, obviously aside from just hanging out with your boy, did you guys do anything or see anything or anything like that?
I made my second trip to Secret Stash, and one of the only other good reasons to be in Jersey, which they moved and didn't tell me. But it's only 2 blocks away, so it wasn't that bad. But I highly recommend anyone make the journey to Secret Stash. If you're a comic book or Kevin Smith fan, it is well worth the trip up there. It's a small little comic shop, but it is very entertaining to go into the shop.
Yeah, I would like to go. I mean, I imagine it's not that far from me. I mean, maybe a couple hours, but
it is. I mean, it's Jersey's got that weird shape. Red Bank is that weird little corner, not the northernmost, but it's like right at that bend. If you're driving, from you to us, it's not that far out of the way to make a stop for, a half hour. Because that's what I did. I just diverted, went in, and continued on my way.
Yeah, that's cool. Did you see it? I mean, obviously, I've seen the TV show, but do you recognize anyone working in the shop?
The 2 people that were working there, I don't think were on the show. The first time I went, everyone that was in there was on the show. And that was when it was in the previous location, and you could see, where they filmed, like different things. It was weird. The show made it look a lot bigger than it was. But the new location is it's a little bit bigger, and they don't have, obviously the new location hadn't been on the show, so you don't have the sets in the show, but they have a lot of memorabilia from his movies, which is really cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Is this still in Red Bank? Is that where it is?
Still in Red Bank. It's just a couple blocks down. It's weird. I was driving down the road, and I'm following my GPS, and it's a one-way road, and I'm like, okay, it's just coming up here, and I'm looking for someplace to park, and I must have looked at the store, but I was looking at parking spaces. Like, oh no, I don't want to park this far away. I'll see if there's anything closer, and parked in front of the old location and couldn't figure out why I couldn't find the store, and then realized it moved and had to walk backwards 2 blocks.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'll definitely have to check that out sometime. I've been meaning to head up there, but when the world shut down, I kind of forgot about going places. So,
oh yeah, that was the kind of thing. It was like, you know what? I'm not in a big rush to get down there, and I have all day to do it, so might as well make the stop. But also, while I was down there, I went to the Jersey Shore.
Wow, it's like the last place I would envision you going.
You know what? Well, it wasn't my idea, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Because one, I think it was off season. I know it was off season, but I think it wasn't that bad because it was off season. But it was a nice little boardwalk, and I played haunted miniature golf.
Sounds kind of fun.
It was. It was so entertaining. It was indoors. It was cheap for what miniature golf is nowadays. It was $8 a person. Nowadays, it's usually up around 20 to play miniature golf. But it was so it was something like Tiny White would have made. It was so much fun.
Nice. Fucking Snooky God of War. There you
go. Yeah. I was looking around, and you know what? I wouldn't have even known if I walked into one of those people.
Yeah.
All right. So glad we get a little update there because I forgot that Aries is going on a little trip. But Raven Shadow, you sit down to watch the movie Fresh. What do you do to prepare for this movie?
Oh, Johnny, I get excited because we have a new mystery guest. And maybe I, rewatch some Falcon Winter Soldier because I love a good, buddy dynamic. And then I went to get a cleaning today at my dentist. And my very handsome dentist who looks like Brandon Routh, who's now growing his hair out. So now he looks like a long-haired Brandon Routh. But he got a very positive checkup. So that made me feel good. You know what I mean?
Well, that's good.
What
I'm
a
glad you feel good.
Yeah, I mean, it didn't
About
last
your handsome
long.
dentist.
Yeah, it didn't last long, but it was nice feeling that moment in time. And so I'm very excited to talk about this film. So let's fucking not stand on ceremonies. I definitely strapped on.
What you really want is some blood and thunder in your life.
Well, friend, you found it.
The Cromcast is an adventurous journey through the history of two-fisted pulp stories
With your host, John,
Josh,
and Luke.
we have action.
horror,
An adventure, all through the lens of pulp luminary Robert E. Howard.
Don't just stay in your ordinary life.
find your pulp life at thecromcast.blogspot.com.
The Cromcast,
The Cromcast.
The Cromcast!
a podcast for the barbarian at heart.
This is Matt Kennedy of Astron 6. You might know me as Manborg. You might know me as Father John Sullivan in Father's Day. But what's important right now is that you're listening to Trick or Treat Radio.
Oh, delicious nerds. Ms. M knows you like to chat it up with other sexy shut-ins about comics, movies, video games, and your favorite TV shows. If that sounds like you, cuddle up to the Trick or Treat Radio Facebook group, or the FIB. That stands for Fan Interaction Board. Just go to Facebook and search for Trick or Treat Radio and have more fun than a Jedi at a lightsaber sale. Not enough? Watch us on YouTube, The Deadites TV, all one word. Last but not least, check out the world's most dangerous talk radio show, Trick or Treat Radio, at trickortreatradio.com.
I can tell you I'm never coming back on this show. Especially now that I did that thing that you just made me do. Which I will be sending you an invoice for.
And we are back on Trick or Treat Radio. And Aries, what was I thinking by bringing a guest on right after the break when Raven Shadow is supposed to do the introduction and he's not?
Oh yeah.
Oh, look at this. Conveniently.
He shows up.
Conveniently shows up right in the nick of time. Look at that. All right, stop posturing and put your fucking headphones on. Jesus.
Yeah, because I was actually figuring out, oh crap, I'm gonna have to make something up here
Yeah.
for an intro. Someone
exactly.
I never even met before.
Yeah, I was thinking, I'm like, he's probably like downstairs smoking, completely forgot about doing an intro, and then we're just gonna have to keep our guest hanging while Raven Shadow is down there doing his thing, smoking butts, double fisting butts or something. That sounds really bizarre. I didn't mean it that way, but it sounds fun. Is that what you do, Raven Shadow? I guess in this movie you could double fist a butt, right?
Oh, I think we'll talk about the implications of that scene.
All right, Raven Shadow. It is your duty now as what do we say? You're the public outreach associate. So as your duty as the public outreach associate, now you need to go ahead and give. Oh boy, he's reading off some cue cards. This is trouble.
God damn it!
Can you read it? Okay, you need to get it closer to your face.
I can, but Mr. Guest should know I do have some medical problems. So I'm just fucking trying.
I think everyone knows it at this point.
Bad glasses are not medical problems.
Yeah.
It's not the glasses.
Tell him you have glaucoma.
I do. It's a fucking real thing. And I tell my doctor, my friends make fun of me, and she says they shouldn't. I'm like, well,
Well, I didn't know. Now I won't make fun of you. I'm not going to glaucoma shame you anymore.
you are shame.
Raven Shadow will. Aries will, I mean. All right, Raven Shadow, come on. Go ahead. Like, we've kept our guests waiting long enough. I thought we were going to have to keep our guests waiting while you smoked, but let's go.
I'm ready. Thank you very much, Johnny. Our next mystery guest is a prolific podcaster who appears on such shows as Crushing Comics, which is a weekly comics review show, and also Comic Crush, which they discuss comic-based films and TV. She's also a purveyor of 4-color periodicals. She spent time in England and has become an impact player at the local shop that we congregate at. So please welcome and give a big ups welcome intro to Liz Jordan.
Hello.
And I unveiled the camera only to show double Aries. This is horrible.
Hey!
That is terrible.
What a handsome young lady.
This is the worst thing ever.
Except for the mustache.
All right, I think we fixed it. Let me go push it live now. There we are. There's Liz.
It's me.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Liz. Raven Shadow speaks very highly of your knowledge and of your podcast, and I was able to check some out as well, and I too am impressed with your knowledge and your podcasting prowess. So we appreciate you being here and hanging out with us. And I'm sorry.
Lovely to be here. Lovely to meet you guys. In this interwebs, congregation.
Right, don't lie to us. It's lovely to be here. Lovely to meet us.
Raven Chow, is there a check in the mail? Is that why she's doing this?
Yeah, I got some. I'm working some.
We need to talk to her
I don't know
about mails.
What bet you lost?
Yeah.
I'm excited. Very excited. I've checked out you guys' show as well, and enjoy what you do. And I'm looking forward to being part of the conversation.
Excellent. Well, yeah.
And excited to talk about this movie.
Yeah, this ended up being. It's funny. I was trying to look. Raven Shadow gave me like kind of a little rundown. I was like, okay, well, let me try and pick something that may be comic adjacent. And there was nothing really new that had sort of a comic book sort of vibe to it. But I saw Sebastian Stan, and I'm like,
there you go.
I'm like, okay,
there's the connection.
Yeah, there's a connection.
Lucky.
Yeah. We got, as Raven Shadow would say in his most prominent role, we got Winter Soldier starring in this movie. So I figured that might be a good one. But we will talk about the movie in a bit. But I want to talk more about you, Liz, and about your podcasting. So let folks know where they might be able to listen to your shows and, just maybe a little bit about them, just so people get an idea of what they're all about.
Sure. The podcast that my weekly podcast that I do is via the Comic Crush website, which is just kind of a comics news and sort of review site that my friend and sort of partner in crime, Paul Dunn, runs. He and I have been podcasting together for years. Since I want to say 2016.
Nice.
And all kind of comics-based film and TV reviews, and just weekly comics reviews as well. That's my jam.
Awesome.
And I really enjoy doing it. And so you can find all of that material on the Comic Crush website, thecomiccrush.com. You can also find a lot of that content on my personal website, which is lizcjordan.com, which is also all of my socials, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff is Liz C. Jordan.
Awesome. So I'm on both. I'm looking at the Comic Crush. I see Yeah, it looks like you guys have everything on there, and then on your personal website. Looks like it's easy to navigate around. Lots of news and links and all that sort of thing. So yeah, so people should check both of those out. TheComicCrush.com and Liz C. That's the letter C. LizCJordan.com as well.
That is right.
And I believe you have one other podcast, or is there more than one?
I have another one that I will soon be revisiting, which is a show called the Full Geek Podcast that is sort of a deep dive into character histories. Usually we'll kind of pick a character that's, good, we know is going to be coming up in a film, and just like get into their history, like, kind of as much as possible. To kind of, speculate about what they might be doing in the show, and also just give a background about that character. So the next episode we'll be doing is Moon Knight.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. I mean, obviously Moon Knight's dropping at the end of the month, and Moon Knight's probably one of the characters that people will know the least.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even I was like, oh my God, I haven't read nearly enough Moon Knight to, it's been years since I read any Moon Knight. So it's, it gives me an excuse to also like do my geeky homework. So, I've got like a nice big stack of Moon Knight trades, sitting next to my bed, and I'm, just plowing through those. And so it's fun for me because, it might not be stuff that I would have prioritized reading, and gives me the excuse.
Yeah, you get to dig in and read some cool nerdy stuff, and then tell people about it. Yeah, absolutely, it's great. So yeah, I'm actually looking forward to that, because I have read some Moon Knight stuff, and I especially enjoyed the Warren Ellis stuff that he did a few years back. But that's a character that I am not super familiar with. I know like Raven Shadow knows a lot more than I do about it. So I will rely on the knowledge of other people, because I don't have the time to go back and read all those issues before the show drops. So Raven Shadow, are you looking forward to hearing more about Moon Knight, even though you know quite a bit?
I'm super excited. No, I've been a fan of the character in almost all of his incarnations, going back to Werewolf by Night. Is one of the first series that had was sold to, specialty shops, the Bill Sienkiewicz run, the Mark Spector Moon Knight run. So I'm a huge, fan of the character. There's been some not so great interpretations as well. But even the Brian Michael Bendis version of the character,
I love that. Yeah.
Which was the same creative team of the acclaimed Daredevil run on Moon Knight, but somehow that didn't stick. So for those that know, Moon Knight has been compared to Marvel's Batman, which I don't feel is a fair comparison. There's some similarities, but he has a split personality. In the Bendis version, took his split personalities and made them various members of the Avengers, which made a remarkably interesting run, where he has Captain America, Spider-Man, and Wolverine in his head. But,
I love that. The ending of that first issue is so cool, because it almost kind of seems like, Cap, Spider-Man, and Wolverine are actually kind of following him around and saying like, oh, Mark, you're part of the team. We need you. And it's like, that doesn't seem likely. And then by the end of the first issue, you realize that actually they're not there at all. And it's all just in his head.
That was brilliant. And it really, his only Avenger team membership was part of the West Coast Avengers back in the day, which is kind of odd. But he was Mark Spector, a mercenary, Jake Loxley, a cab driver, and then billionaire personality. I'm really looking forward to this take they do on the character, and it should be really interesting.
It looks good.
Yeah, so far the way they're presenting it looks great. Do you guys Liz, do you like the casting of Oscar Isaac so far from what you've seen?
I do. I think he's just a super talented actor. And, I as soon as they cast him, I was like, okay, great. A lot of people, I think people, there's always going to be mixed responses to casting choices, until you actually see the thing. Because everybody's got an idea, in their head of who they think it should be. And, but like, I just think he's like super capable. I'm sure he's going to do a great job with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. Raven Shadow, I know we've talked about this a little bit, but I know you like the Poe Dameron. Is that his most well-known role to you? Is that?
Yeah, Poe D.
Poe D.
He's good. I think they're gonna go all in, and from everything they're saying, they're gonna go take it like a hard R. Like they're not holding back on stuff they're doing. With this, which I think is also interesting too, with the news that the Netflix shows are coming plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that Liz and I had talked about when we first met, had conversations about our love for Daredevil. And that's the television show. And if they're bringing the same content over Disney Plus and not, my concern was they were going to edit some things, but from my understanding, they're going to keep it real and just have like a more mature, content available, which shows that the only thing that Disney cares about is the color green, which once again is good for content. Like I'm not going to become Disney, but like, yeah, man, like have Punisher.
Yeah. It only makes sense. I mean, I understand the hesitancy potentially to bring it over, but I mean, it just makes sense, especially if they're going to be connecting the universe, with the cinematic universe and all. I mean, it sort of was anyways, but it was, well, is it or is it not? But yeah, it just makes sense. And, hopefully this is a sign of things to come where maybe we'll get a little bit more like adult content with some of these characters, because I think it makes sense. I should say not necessarily adult content, but stuff that's not made for kids. They can have like they can lock it behind like an age limit or something like that, where parents can set it up so kids, just won't find the Punisher or something like that if they stumble on it. So I think it just only makes sense. So.
Yeah, it sets a really good precedent, basically, that they are bringing those shows over wholesale, in terms of what they will be able to do in the future. Particularly with characters like Deadpool, we've known the whole time that, they're bringing Deadpool over, but, they were never clear about, what they were going to do, if they were going to carry on doing those R-rated films. And the other cool stuff that, Fox had started doing, like Logan and, those like, which, are some of their best films. So, I'm super happy that it seems to be the case that they're, they are actually just bringing that over wholesale.
Yeah, it's certainly.
I think they were trying to balance where they could mix all that in, because they want to make sure everything is accessible to everyone, but not exclude the younger audience. Because with everything tying in, you don't want to have an R-rated movie make a PG movie, make sense. So they got to try to tie it in, but keep it separate at the same time. And that is very difficult to do. And I think that's partly why Disney was hesitant to get into the more adult storylines with the Marvel characters.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it makes sense. One other thought I had, so we're kind of talking about casting and talking about Oscar Isaac. We were going to talk a little bit about the Batman. Actually, none of us have seen it except for you, apparently. So I would like to get your take on it, Liz, because, when it was announced that Robert Pattinson was going to be playing Bruce Wayne and Batman, as you recall, there was a huge outcry. Oh, Twilight, blah, 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 blah. Like, clearly these people have not seen Pattinson act in the last 10 years or so, because he has been a fucking tour de force in some of his films. including The Lighthouse and Good Time are two of the ones that really jump out to me as amazing films with great performances. So he has shown that he has significantly more range than Twilight. So as someone who has seen it, what was your impressions of the film without giving spoilers away?
Yeah, so spoiler free. Yeah, I mean, okay, so yeah, let's just talk about Pattinson for a second. Yeah, I often chat to my customers, as they come up and, oh, are you excited for the movie, blah, blah, blah. And I've gotten quite a few grumpy, disgruntled, anti-Pattinson responses to that question. But my response to that, was like, okay, well, I get how you feel. But you remember, when they cast Heath Ledger as the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people didn't love that.
Yeah,
and
good point.
turned out great. He was like a teen heartthrob, sort of actor at the time. And so who would have seen that coming? So it's like you always kind of just got to wait and see the thing yourself and see how it turns out. And as you say, he's done tons of great films, between Twilight and now. And I thought he was very good. I loved the film. I really loved it. Like really surpassed my expectations. I'm like a massive Batman fan.
Yeah.
Batman is like my thing. And I really love the first couple Nolan films. I think, like they're kind of the gold standard for me. And I would say this is like right up there. It definitely surpasses like Dark Knight Rises for me. The other two, but I'd say it's right up there, it's a long film. I mean, you guys know that it's a long film. And when I was going into the cinema, I was like, this could go really wrong if this movie is not good. It's going to be a long time to sit there and not enjoy it. But fortunately for me, honestly, I never felt like I wanted to look at my watch, nothing. It was really it had me the entire time. As you guys probably, I just may or may not know, it's it leans very heavily into the detective angle of Batman, which I think hasn't really been done, as well in any other film. And I loved that, it really was Batman as the detective, not just Batman punching guys in the face. He does punch guys in the face, but, I don't want to let you down if that's what you want, but
there's got to be a punch guy in the face quota.
I mean,
Batman.
Right. And honestly, the fight scenes are great. I would have to say, without spoiling anything, I love him in the suit. I think, his performance as Batman is awesome. His performance as Bruce Wayne is kind of weird. But you'll see that, whenever you do go see it, you'll see, what I mean.
Yeah.
But I'm not it's not a bad thing, but it's weird. I mean, have you guys watched the trailers or?
Yeah. I think I've seen all the trailers, and, I've heard Matt Reeves talk about it a little bit. And, he said that this is sort of, as he was mentioning it, kind of like he took inspiration from Kurt Cobain. I know that rubs some people the wrong way. Take Rob Pattinson and Kurt Cobain and add them together, and a lot of people aren't going to like that. But I mean, I can kind of understand where I think he's going with it. But yeah, I'll be curious to check it out and see. But yeah, I mean, Matt Reeves has made a lot of really great movies, so I have every faith that he's he'll be true to the to the spirit of Batman, and I'm really excited to see a honest to goodness detective story on the big screen with Batman. Yeah,
it's great. Do see it in the cinema if you can, because it is like that type of film. It's worth going.
Yeah, that's actually I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was like, what, maybe I'll just wait till HBO Max, but it's one of those things where, it's been so long since I've been to a theater that it's like I kind of forget what it's like. And I love going to the theater.
I love going to
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, just being there and being like completely like surrounded and encompassed by the movie, is one thing you just can't get that at home, no matter how good
No.
your setup is. You just can't reproduce that. So, yeah, I'll certainly consider it. I mean, yeah, I think it would be cool
Yeah.
to see in the theater.
I recommend. Yeah. It is that kind of film where it's just, you're gonna enjoy it more that way.
Yeah. Evil Corny in the chat room says, I was surprised by it. I know I've seen him say that he liked it, so I guess he was a little surprised. Maybe he didn't expect to enjoy it as much as he did, which is great. So that's really cool. By the way, Raven Shadow, our boy Denny, he says, Raven Shadow, you the man.
Thank you, buddy.
You got some props there, just making sure you knew about that. I know you'll be happy, and it'll make you happy. So
I appreciate that. You the man, Denny.
Let's see. There's a couple other things, comic related stuff that we kind of brought up earlier, but I figured we'd hold off on, because why would we talk about it when we have someone who's like, very much into comic books joining us? And so I guess kind of talking about DC, they had an update on their cinematic films that are going to be dropping in the next couple of years, and looks like we're going to get some mostly delays, but we're actually getting Shazam is moving up like 6 months, which is crazy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I was kind of surprised to see that, but some of the others, I guess, are just being. I have a feeling it has to do with the fact that Batman did so well in the theaters that they kind of want to spread him out a little bit more. But they said that it was due to post-production and effects and being kind of backed up with COVID and everything. So not quite sure, but it makes sense to kind of spread him out a little bit more. But we still are getting Black Adam this year. And Shazam got moved up from June 2023 to December 2022. So I'm looking for the article now just to...
Yeah, and I feel like Aquaman's coming out in December as well.
That one got bumped to next year.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
To 2023? Oh, geez. Come on. I've been waiting for my Aquaman movie for like 5 years already. Come on.
Well, it seems like everything that was supposed to come out this year got bumped to next year. Yeah. But the Shazam got bumped to this year.
Okay. I am looking forward to Shazam too, but
yeah, but it's not Jason Momoa.
Yeah, I mean, come on, what's up with that? That one was, I think that was like December 2017. The last one came out. That's a long wait.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Let me see if we can. For some reason, I'm having trouble finding the article, but I know it just dropped a couple of days ago. But Raven Shadow, you like I can't remember. Did you like the first Shazam movie?
Yeah, I did. I still struggle with him not being called Captain Marvel.
Well, I mean, I understand. I mean, yeah, I'm with you, but I mean, they're behind the eight ball in terms of DC's behind the eight ball in terms of like getting their films out into theaters and having be successful, and it would probably just in the public eye would be viewed as, oh, well, they're just copying Marvel. Most people aren't going to look up and know that he's actually named Captain Marvel, and that was before Marvel Comics.
Right. And Marvel have already put out a film called Captain Marvel.
Right. Exactly.
So
right. It's the whole thing back in the day was that they couldn't put Captain Marvel in the title of the book. That's why all his books were called The Power of Shazam or One Magic Word Shazam. But like, at least you could still call him Captain Marvel.
Right.
And once again, I don't have a big dog in the fight, but like the dude did outsell Superman until DC sued him for copyright infringement. So like,
it's true.
I just feel that's a mistake. I struggle with what Mary Marvel and Captain Marvel Jr. will be called. Because I'm a huge Captain Marvel Jr. fan. Just like Elvis. I like Billy Batson a lot.
So
I'm
you
talking
like the
Billy.
little boys? Okay.
No, not Billy Batson.
God.
Freddie Freeman. Freddie Freeman was Marvel Jr.
All right.
Jeez.
I do have the dates here. So Shazam Fury of the Gods is moved up 6 months from June 2nd to December 16th of this year. So Shazam will be coming out this year, December 16th. And it looks like Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom is now coming out March 17th of 2023. So basically a year from now.
A year from now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the
Bitter
Flash.
pill to swallow.
I know. And the Flash will be releasing June 23rd, 2023.
Okay.
June 23rd. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's an important.
Corny just said in the chat room that it's going to be released on his birthday. So is that what you mean?
Well, it's his birthday, and it's also when Batman 89 dropped.
Oh, right.
June 1989.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Oh, good memory. Because as we all know, I mean, it's no secret that that Michael Keaton will be reprising his role in that movie. So.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Maybe that's intentional.
Yeah, that's actually really interesting. When that movie came out, it was 89, right, Raven Shadow?
Yep, June 23rd, 1989.
So it'll be okay. This is going to make us all feel old.
Too late.
34 years later.
Oh my God.
What the fuck? I saw them in the theater.
Yeah, no, my mom dropped us off. We saw her at opening day, you know what I mean, at Lincoln Square, Lincoln Plaza.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, let's get even down to complaining about casting. Like, I know I call him Twilight, which pisses off Aries, but like,
Well,
people
probably
hate
pisses
it,
off
but-
a lot of people.
Well, Robert Pattinson's not listening, but
Pattinson.
Yeah. Pattinson. But people hated fucking Keaton in the cowl.
That's true,
Missed him
yeah.
off. Like, that was crazy backlash back in the day.
Yeah, and you know what? But you don't call him Mr. Mom nowadays.
He's Beetlejuice, okay?
That's after.
I love Keaton. I think Keaton's gonna kill it. I think he was dope. I fucking hate Vulture in the comics, but goddamn, he was great as the Vulture in fucking that Spidey movie.
Yeah.
I didn't give a
No, but I
rat.
mean, if this was 89, 88, 89, you would have been like, fucking Mr. Mom is playing Batman.
I was there. I like Keaton. I liked him in the hockey movie he did. I like everything about Keaton. The sitcom he did with Jim
What?
Belushi. I'm a Keaton fan. Night Shift.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I love all this.
I apologize.
But once again, and even that mentioned Heath Ledger. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? It's fucking this guy. But then I saw that poster. I saw those scenes. I'm like, wow. Heath Ledger killed it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people after the fact were like, yeah, like they wouldn't admit it, but they were fucking wrong because, yeah, they saw like, what was that movie? 10 Things I Hate About You or something like that. Like, that's probably what most people thought of when you think of Heath Ledger or, oh, we got the robot thing happening, Raven Shadow. What'd you do?
Put your foot down.
So, Liz, this is something that happens from time to time. Raven Shadow, I think we have a bad cord in his studio, and every once in a while this happens. So, we apologize.
That's used to technical difficulties.
Uh-oh, he's messing with it. It's either going to go horrible or it's going to fix it.
If we lose you, we will call you back. We promise.
She's gonna like log off forever.
Yeah,
I'm having trouble finding the Black Adam release date, but I think it's in October of this year.
This year, or yeah.
Okay. So, oh man, did you fix it? All right, I think it's fixed, Raven Channel. Don't stop touching.
It's close. Stop.
So, okay. I think it's fixed for now. Hopefully it stays that way. The other thing, before we jump into the film discussion, I wanted to bring up is some other sort of, I guess, Batman adjacent news is There's been, I guess, the announcement of 2 spin-offs from the Batman already. And that is apparently we're going to see a Penguin show. I think it's going to be on HBO Max.
Right.
Which is interesting. I don't know if it's going to be solely based on just the Penguin, but yeah, Colin Farrell, he's set to star in the HBO Max series based on the Penguin. So
Yeah, that's really interesting. I didn't realize that was happening. But I guess it's like it's worked out for them with Peacemaker, spinning out of Suicide Squad. People really liked that series. With Batman, it's kind of interesting, to have, and do you know what the other spin-off show is apart from Penguin?
So the other one is an Arkham Asylum show. It was originally supposed to be a GCPD show, but they kind of shifted focus a little bit and made it more into, they're going to go like the horror route with Arkham Asylum, which I think is fucking cool.
That's really interesting.
So I assume that will be HBO Max as well.
Right. Yeah, I would think. That's very cool. I hadn't heard about that, and I just kind of heard about the Penguin thing, sort of in passing at the shop, and I was like, oh wow, I'll have to look into this.
Yeah, I heard about both, but I kind of thought they were one and the same. Like I thought I was hearing 2 different versions of the same story.
It's obviously, I think it's clever of them to try and do what Disney are doing really successfully with their, TV properties, like all the Marvel spin-offs and everything. So, why shouldn't it work for them if they go about it the right way?
Because they will go about it the wrong way.
Well, they were going about the movies the wrong way, I will say that.
Well, I am not the biggest fan of DC movies and TV shows because I feel they've dropped the ball and they've been trying to play catch up to Marvel rather than just trying to do their own thing. And their biggest failure in my eyes was the Gotham TV show.
Oh yeah.
I mean that could have been such a good show just based on the world that existed before Batman and why Batman needed to exist. And they just decided, okay, we'll just throw in every villain just to have the villain in there, and that was unnecessary.
Yeah,
you could have had a couple of, Penguin. He would have been an older villain for Batman, so you could have had a younger incarnation of him in the thing. But there's so many potential good stories as to what Gotham could have been like before Batman and why Batman needed to exist, and yet they just needed to have Gordon be Batman before Batman.
Right. I really wanted that TV series to channel Gotham Central. I don't know if you've ever read that, but
I haven't read it, but I'm familiar.
Okay, right. Which is basically just the Gotham City Police Department. And it's a very straight crime procedural comic that just happens to have supervillains pop up once in a while, but it's much more of a straight up just crime book from the perspective of the Gotham cops. And it's great. It's and so when they announced that, I was like, oh, it's going to be Gotham Central, amazing, can't wait. And it was not that.
Yeah, I was actually hoping for Law and Order Gotham, essentially is what I was hoping for.
Yeah.
The age would have been wrong, but I would have loved to have seen just Harvey Dent never becoming Two-Face, just being the DA.
Right, Gotham Central is The Wire, but with Batman's, Rogues Gallery.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, so somewhere in that, and they could still do it, because Gotham really wasn't that at all. So,
if you just disregard that and you create a new show based on that premise to give a backstory to everything, I feel that is gold that they need to just invest in and not pay attention to ratings or numbers, and just because I think it pays off in the long run.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think any studio or streaming service has the guts to do that. It is more they just look at the initial numbers, and if it doesn't pay off, they abandon it, or they just try to. All right, we're not getting the numbers. We need to have the Joker. We need to have the Penguin. Like they kind of just throw everything at it to try to get people to watch.
Yeah, and that kind of lets the air out of it. Agreed.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. I'll be curious to see what they do with these spin-offs. And I mean, it seems like Matt Reeves is behind these 2 spin-offs, so I wonder if they will tie. I mean, I assume that they'll tie into his version of the Batman. I don't know if Batman will be appearing in them. Like, I don't think they're to the point where they'd even announce that. But yeah, it's interesting. There's a lot of cool stuff going on over there. And I think that they found like kind of a good little niche with what they're doing. So hopefully they stick with it and continue to produce some really good quality content over there, because they have been lately. So
Right.
All right, Raven Chow, I think you should stop messing with it, and let's just hope that it fixes itself.
Yeah.
Because we got a movie to talk about. So, all right. Well, we're going to talk about. I'm going to transition now to talk about the film, and the film we're going to talk about is Fresh. This film just got a release on Hulu. It was, I believe, on March 4th that it got a release, so it's less than a week old at the time of recording. And it is rated R, and it is 114 minutes. And the film is, it's considered a comedy horror thriller. I might question some of the comedy of it, but I think we'll get into that as we talk about the film. The film is directed by Mimi Cave and written by Lauren Kahn. And the film stars Daisy Edgar-Jones, the aforementioned Sebastian Stan, Jojo T. Gibbs, Andrea Bang, Dio Akani, Charlotte Laban, Brett Dyer as Chad, which is the perfect name for that fucking character. And the synopsis of the film: the horrors of modern dating, seen through one young woman's defiant battle to survive her new boyfriend's unusual appetites. How you doing over there, Ramshaw? Are you still messing with it or what?
Should we reconnect?
No, because it will take you 5 to 10 minutes to reconnect, unfortunately. Usually these just don't touch it anymore. Like, usually these things work out, hopefully.
All right, it just got worse. Stop touching.
It's better. Just stop touching it, and maybe it'll be fine. Ravenshaw's been told that most of his life. Stop touching it. All right. All right. It's fine for now. Let's hope it stays that way. So don't touch anything. Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, the reason we picked this, I wanted something sort of comic adjacent-ish. And, we typically do horror. And Liz, it also seems like you have an interest in horror and genre cinema as well. So I thought, you know what? Like, this is maybe an amalgamation of all these different things. Hopefully, this will create a fun little concoction that we can talk about that encompasses a lot of everyone's interests. So that's why we went with this one. And it's been getting a pretty good amount of buzz being on Hulu, and also you're still touching it, Raven Shadow.
I won't touch it.
Can you hear us okay? That's all that matters right now.
I can.
Okay, so stop touching it. It's still get a little bit of the echoing, but hopefully this goes away, and if not, we'll figure something out. So all right, so Fresh. I think this will be interesting. I also didn't really. This wasn't something I had thought of ahead of time, like when I was picking through this. But I didn't realize this film probably could benefit from a woman's perspective in discussing it. So I am glad that you're with us, Liz. I don't know how difficult this might be to talk about at times because, obviously I don't know your experience, but knowing the general kind of experience of women out in this digital world, I'm sure that this is something that almost every woman has had to deal with at some point in her life.
Some variation of, yeah.
Yeah. With the date with Chad to, the random dick pics being sent and all that sort of nonsense. Raven Shadow, have you has anyone ever sent you a random dick pic?
Not that I'm aware.
No one sent you a picture of Richard Nixon ever?
I don't think so, no. Monsters sent something once, but it wasn't.
So, so it'll be interesting to have Liz's perspective on this. And man, this echo is fucking killing me. Let me see. I'm wondering if it doesn't go away, if we do need to disconnect. And Raven Shadow, if that is the case, we may just have to continue for a few minutes without you until we get you back.
Yeah. Jump. I'll jump off, and we'll get back to. Let's fix it now.
All right, but let's be clear. You cannot leave that seat.
No, he can, because it's going to take like 5 minutes for his...
Don't tell him that. You say 5 minutes, he's gone for 15. Damn it.
So, actually, you know what? Let me just try to disconnect Raven Shadow first and see if that fixes it. And then we'll add him back and see if that works. So I'm going to disconnect with you, Raven Shadow. We'll see if that fixes it. If not, we'll all have to disconnect. So... you can take a quick break, Raven Shadow, but just keep an ear out and be back in just like 3 or 4 minutes, just in case it's all set. Okay.
Yes.
He's gonna go smoke. I know how he is.
do you not know him? Like, that's it. He's gone. Like,
no,
he'll be back for the sign off.
He likes being praised far too much, and the off chance that he might mispraise will just like kill him.
We'll be saying really nice things about you.
That's the thing. Usually, like when we want him to come, we just like say his name and he appears. It's really weird.
Yeah, it is. Like earlier, you saw that. Like we were like, oh, it's too bad he's not here, and then all of a sudden he just fucking walks right in. All right, so I disconnected from him, and obviously the sound is gone, as we know, because it does come from his end of stuff. But I will reconnect with him now, or when it loads up, and hopefully it's fixed. So, but let's talk about this. I don't want to delay the discussion any further. If you don't mind me putting you on the spot a little bit here, Liz, watching this movie. I guess, what was the experience of watching this movie for you? Were you like, yep, like, or was it scary? Like, what was the experience of watching it for you?
It's an interesting film because it's got a female director, female screenwriter, and I did sort of read a quick blurb in which the screenwriter, I believe, said she was trying to challenge herself to what would I like to write about if I was writing a horror film, and the first thing that came to mind was dating.
Yeah.
What's the thing that you find most horrifying? And she, I think all of that was done really well. Because she right in that opening sequence, she is going out on a blind date, and it does turn into a nightmare. A version of it, certainly not the nightmare she experiences later on down the film, but you would call it a horrifying date. Literally every action of this guy that she turned up to have dinner with was just kept getting worse and worse.
Yeah. First of all, he's late, right? And then he like texts and says like, "Oh, this place is cash only.
Bring cash,
bring cash."
Classy guy.
Yeah.
Then he's got this like ridiculous scarf that is like falling into his dinner, and he's talking about I can't remember, like body odor or something like that.
Yeah. The comment he made when he was like, oh, like, women like my mother, like, they had like her generation, like they actually dressed up and tried to look nice. And I was just like Picarding
just
like Aries so hard.
you
Yeah.
know, just like, yeah, like, oh, I just think you'd look really nice in a dress.
Yeah.
You know.
It's basically the equivalent of like, you should smile more. Like,
right.
Oh
Literally.
God. It was so cringe. And like just seeing like that, I mean, I got to give that guy props. I mean, he played that perfectly.
Chad.
Yeah.
Chad. That's Chad.
He was a total Chad. But that, I imagine that is an experience that a lot of women can say that they've had. And he just, he cared about his own, like himself, and he didn't really care about her. He just wanted to hear the sound of his own voice. And and then the whole thing at the end of the date, I'm sure that's very typical of a situation like that where he's basically like going in for a kiss, and she's like, oh no, like
Right,
I don't think we
right,
connected. And then of course he his reaction is to call her names and and make her feel bad about herself and walk away.
Right. Rather than just sort of gracefully bow out, he has to just like, turn into a total dick, like, which should come as no surprise to her after, the experience she just had. But still, it's like, poor girl.
Yeah. And it's, so one thing I thought about a little bit while watching this, and I don't know if Aries or Raven Shadow, well, he's not here, but if you guys would agree, but I got a little bit of a Promising Young Woman vibe to this, not quite the same. By the way, have you seen Promising Young Woman, Liz?
I have not.
Okay. First of all, I would recommend that movie. Although it's very intense. I will say that it's like this movie, but probably a bit more realistic in terms of what happens to the woman. So trigger warning, but it is a very good movie. And for us, a bunch of dudes talking about it, it was a good movie for us to have seen, because it gives us that perspective that we don't see, because, we've been doing the show almost 10 years, and there's been a lot of growth in all of us over that time. In terms of the way we view things, the way we talk, the way we listen, and things like that. And so to be able to be exposed to visions like that come from a woman's perspective, I think it's important for us as men to see that. So I agree with this one as well. I think that this, showed that perspective really well, and made, as me as a guy, I'm like cringing, and I'm like, oh man, like, have I ever been like this? Like
that guy? Yeah.
Have I ever,
were you ever that guy?
Yeah.
Or?
Was I ever this guy? Because, we can be so oblivious, especially if we're not like, tuned into, sort of like social upheaval and what's going on, and how, we should like listen to people and deal with people and things like that. So, it's one of those things where I think I have been like a little self-conscious of like, oh man, like let me think back. Have I ever done things like this without realizing it? So I think in a sense, I think it's good for us as guys to be able to look at it in that way and make sure that never happens again. But also, as from a woman's perspective, I imagine you're like, yep, no, this is it. This is how it is.
I cannot claim to have ever done the internet dating thing. Mm-hmm. Which I think probably makes it even more, sort of difficult to navigate, those waters, I guess, because, you have stuff like Tinder where it's just like, it's impersonal in a lot of ways. So, I guess, turning up on dates, all you have is a, swipe like right or left or whatever, that sort of thing. And, so it's just gotta be, very easy to wind up on a date with the wrong person. Yeah, and it looks pretty grim from her perspective.
Yeah, no, definitely. Aries, how about you? From kind of like watching this take place, mostly about the date and stuff like that. Seeing this unfold, did you have any thoughts about like experiences you've had, or maybe experiences that that other women may have had in this situation?
Well, speaking as a woman,
it's a very nice beard, by the way.
No, I mean, I thought this kind of set up the idea of, she's gone through all these toxic dates on the dating sites, and she's not really exposed to the human interaction that she got through, the supermarket, which, I mean, that's how I interacted with people when I was in the dating scene.
In the supermarket?
I mean, that was the supermarket.
That's where you...
picking up women with the produce,
get some lettuce, tomatoes, a date.
I mean, just for what was foreign to her was the norm for me. So it was a little bit weird, but I kind of understood what they were going for with she's dealing with, the internet dating, and we only saw one, but I'm assuming there was multiple, and they're all failures. So the human interaction and the awkwardness of the whole thing, I feel that it created that trust that was necessary to propel the story forward as quickly as it did. Because you know what? 20 years ago, without the internet, this story would not have been as believable. The trust would not have been as believable with that limited interaction. But because people nowadays, majority of their initial interaction through dating is through apps and the computer, the human interaction is trusted very rapidly and probably to a fault. And I think that shows that fault. This movie shows that fault.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a good point by you. She was very quick to trust because she had a very genuine interaction in person first, and he seemed very genuine and and just kind of grounded, like he was kind of a dork, and he didn't seem like he was looking for anything, so I could see that it made total sense in this case. But you're right, like a situation like that, if this were to happen 20, 30 years ago, without having internet dating as sort of like the opposite end of the spectrum, I could see someone being like, yeah, I ain't going to a fucking cabin with you, like out in the woods after knowing you for a few days. I'm not doing that, So I can totally get that.
Where this almost seems like, like this, I think her friend describes it as like, white girl fantasy or something like that. Like the fairy tale, it's like, oh, I actually met someone in person. Oh, we had chemistry. Oh, versus, going through an app. It must be that much more, sort of unusual now to have somebody, that you meet in person and, seem to click with.
Yeah, and it definitely changes your perspective, I think, as well. I think it's interesting. Raven Chat, we have you back. There's no roboting. Can you hear us fine?
I can. You all folks sound great.
Okay, now, so you've heard the last like couple minutes at least. Did you want to add anything? We're mostly talking about that first date with Chad and sort of the experience that she had.
Well, to be fair, a date with a Chad is not good for anybody. I mean, even down to, you should dress better, and it was cringeworthy.
Yeah, and so I think that's a good point. Is oh, and by the way, Evil Corny says Aries was a player in the frozen food section. Was that your spot, Aries?
I could make so many inappropriate comments right now, but I'm just going to restrain myself.
Oh man, that's good. So yeah, I mean, it completely makes sense as to why she is so trusting of this guy, and he does seem very genuine and very grounded, and that I think goes a long way. And right away, like her friend JoJo, or I'm sorry, Molly, played by JoJo Gibbs. Like when she's like, is he on Instagram? And she's like, no, he's not there. And then she's like, yeah, that's a red flag. So, I mean, there was some red flags, but, she just was like, yeah, well, he, when you meet someone in that way, I imagine it can sort of like maybe remove some of the negative aspects of like associating, because with anonymity, or relative anonymity on the internet, you can get away with, or I'm using finger quotes, get away with things that you wouldn't be able to do in person. And so I really think that has kind of ruined a lot of interactions, because people are a little bit more bold and maybe will say what's on their mind. And maybe that's a good thing, that they'll say what's on their mind, as opposed to lying to you and then later on finding out. So, I think that we could probably go on and on about the differences between sort of like human interaction versus like meeting someone on the internet in relative anonymity. So, it is an interesting concept, but this, obviously this film gets a little bit deeper into it than that, and it's not much of a spoiler to say that things start to take a turn when she does go on this sort of like weekend getaway with Steve, and immediately he brings her to his house, and then like immediately drugs her, and then she wakes up and she's chained up in like, sort of like, I don't know if it was actually a basement, but it looked like a plush kind of basement sort of room, chained to the wall. It was like Saw Chic sort of kind of deal.
and this was 33 minutes into the film.
That's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is when they drop the credits. Because for the first half hour of the film, you have like essentially a rom-com.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, like, just bam, like you just super dark turn, and it's like, yeah, that's what we're doing. Which, having that credits roll is like, it's jarring, at that point. And it's like, oh, this is not the movie I thought I was watching.
Yeah. Go ahead, Rib General. Go ahead.
That was something that stood out for me too, was, you're waiting for it. And then there's the punchline. Because, on one hand, it was like a Lifetime movie. And they would have like their dance in the Christmas tree.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like, oh, fresh. Oh, that's
that's what that means.
That's what that means. And that's when Winter Soldier's having a dark day.
Darker than usual.
Yeah.
That's what happens when fucking Steve's not around. He's fucking running amok. He's on the floor.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, because that's something we've seen. I think the last movie that this happened was Climax from Gaspar Noé. And I remember, if that's the one I recall, like the credits like hit at like 30 minutes in, the opening credit. And I kind of like that. It almost in a way, and I thought it was really brilliant because it did do a good job of breaking this movie up from like one thing to another, So I think it was a great break from, well, here we're going to establish the relationship between these two. And, it was cute. I mean, I thought the writing was well done, and it seemed very like organic and natural. Like that's one thing I liked about it. And then the credit hits, and then it's, okay, now we're taking a turn. We're going down a dark path here, and the movie is very different. I could see someone watching this for like 29 minutes and being like, this is a fucking horror movie. Fuck this. I'm done. And then like clicking off, and then not even getting that part. So yeah, I think that I thought it was a great move, and I actually really like when movies are very sort of like creative with the use of titles like that, where it's not the traditional usage. So I actually really dug that.
I liked that a lot. Yeah, because it, you kind of just forgot that it ever might happen, and then it just hits you, by surprise.
Yeah. I mean, I did like that, but at the same time, I could understand why it would be a bad thing, because I've spoken in the past about the quickness to change the channel, so to speak, on things. And without knowing what you were watching, the first 30 minutes of this, you're thinking you're watching a rom-com. Yeah. Just with, and it was like a slightly believable rom-com, because the awkwardness of it, you could relate to it. But you know what? I don't want to watch a rom-com. If I didn't know that there was something more to this, I definitely would have changed. I would have shut it off. I would have put something else on. And
I think, sorry to cut you off.
Oh no, I mean, just one more thing. It just right. in the day and age that we are in, where it's so quick, it is so quick and easy to put something else on.
To swipe
you
left
don't have
or right.
any financial stake in what you're watching. That is, because back in the day, you rent a movie, you watch the whole movie, good or bad, you watched it.
Yep.
Nowadays, if it's bad and within the first 10 minutes, you can put something else on, and not giving any indication that this was going to take a twist, I think might hurt this movie.
Right. I felt like there were enough moments of foreshadowing that kind of kept you there, because if you went in kind of knowing, okay, this is supposed to be a horror film, and then you kind of forgot that, during that first half hour, there were these little moments, and some of my favorite moments of the whole film were just these small moments in that first half hour that did have this really sinister feel to them. One of those was when she leaves her bad date and she's walking back into the parking lot. And this is something as a woman that I've definitely experienced. I lived in London for 13 years, and, you walk everywhere. I never drove. Mm-hmm. So all of my commutes would be on foot. And if you got out of the tube station at 1 a.m. and you felt someone behind you, and I maybe this happens to guys too, but as a female, you definitely, you kind of seize up whoever's behind you is is going to murder you or attack you. That's what's going on in your brain. No matter who it is. So that I loved that, because when she finally turns around, she's obviously terrified as she's going to her car, and she feels this male presence behind her. She looks around, and it's a guy with a baby in a little, papoose.
Yeah.
On the front of him. It's the least threatening guy it could be. But, but that, I loved that. Because that I found extremely relatable. And it kind of, it says something about her, the nature of her ability to trust men.
Yeah.
And it feels with Sebastian Stan's character, she kind of is throwing herself into that, wanting to trust him. Even though she might not be fully there, but by agreeing to go on this trip, she's I'm sort of a way of saying that she wants to embrace the idea that there are good guys out there. And but just as they're arriving, and this was one of my other favorite scenes and beautiful moment of filming and cinematography, is when there are those overhead shots of the woods as they're driving through. It pans way above, and you're just looking down through this, this woods, and there's nothing else there. And that set this very sinister tone, oh, she's in the middle of nowhere with this guy, and she doesn't know him.
Yeah.
And you know what? You speak about the shot with the walking to the car. I think that speaks to the character of her, where she is naive to the dangers around her until they're upon her. Because
Right.
she parked her car in a dark alley.
Right.
I mean, that's
Not the
the
smartest.
worst possible place to park a car. But she didn't recognize the danger until there was a shadowy figure behind her. And then she understood this is bad. And ultimately it wasn't, but that it took the impending danger for her to recognize that. And that speaks to her character throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a great observation. I'm glad you brought up that scene, Liz, because yeah, I mean, we've probably all experienced that to some degree, but the way that we would experience it is not the same way that you would experience it. So I think we can, in a sense, relate. Like, like I've worked in the city, in cities where I've worked late, and I walked into the parking garage, and it's like literally 1 a.m. and there's like no cars, and I'm walking in there, and all of a sudden I see someone out of the corner of my eye like coming up behind me, and I'm like, fuck. Like, but for me that's not going to be the same. So I mean, I can relate in a way, but not to the degree that it happened in this movie, or the way that you might, or other women. So that is something that we, and as guys, like, we wouldn't even, I mean, most of us probably wouldn't even think twice. Like, if we were going to our car at 1 a.m. walking home, and there's a woman in front of us, like, we probably wouldn't even think that we were like imposing or like potentially scaring her just by walking behind her. So it is an interesting kind of perspective, and it did say a lot about her character, and I think that is an important part to bring up here, especially her, when she finally decides to give in and trust. It fucks her, like it really, it she wanted so bad, and she talked about how much she hates dating and all this, and and then so finally she decides to trust, and it really comes back to bite her in this case.
Yeah.
Just to point out, I always realize that I'm intimidating when I'm walking behind anyone.
Well,
I hate following anyone. Like, if there's me and someone else in front of me, I will stop and let them go.
We've left places I've been scared of walking behind you.
Yeah. I will just say I'm sorry, and I will just stand and let them go. Like, just
that might even be kind of like add some levity and be like, hey, I'm sorry. Like I didn't,
Yeah, you know what? But I have to stop walking because
Right.
if I'm not a threat and I keep on going, like, that's still a threat. So I just gotta wait. Like, I make a phone call. I'm gonna be late. Someone's in front of me.
So I don't want to talk too much about the events that occur at the house. I mean, we can talk a little bit about it. I mean, it's is it a spoiler to say like kind of what the what Steve's unusual appetite is? Like, I mean, it talks about it in the synopsis, but yeah, go ahead, Raven Shadow.
It's not his appetite; it's his occupation. So he's a doctor, but he's also a facilitator. So he has a side hustle.
Yes.
Right? Obviously, when they have dinner, there's a comment about, even when they have I think it was Chinese food, where it's what he doesn't eat.
Oh, yeah, where she's, I love these short ribs, and he's like, oh, like, I don't eat animals.
So, like, again, he's a vegan. So
No. Those, I mean, that was, words were chosen deliberately.
Yeah.
Right.
Raven Shadow, I'm not going to eat a human. Okay, so like, as a vegan, I'm not going to eat a human.
Let's see what happens next plane crash.
Because I mean, yeah, we're into that spoiler territory, and fuck it. No one would, any vegan or vegetarian I don't eat animals. No, they don't. They say different words than that.
Yeah.
I don't eat meat, or if they want to go even the more, I don't eat anything with a soul. They would not just say, I don't eat animals.
Well, I could see someone saying that, but yeah, the way that it was presented was definitely meant to make you sort of like, huh? What's that?
Mislead.
All about? Yeah, exactly. Right. So, I mean, we can. I think the thing is once I don't want to talk about what happens at the house per se. But I thought that this was an interesting performance from Sebastian Stan because he does, in essence, have to play two different characters. Like this is a Jekyll and Hyde sort of situation where he plays the nice guy Steve, who meets this woman in the grocery store, and then we have Steve, like the sort of not so nice guy. And I thought his performance was you could tell he was having fun with it, and I got a little bit of, I will say, like this was across. Well, I guess this is going to be slight spoiler, but definitely Hannibal meets like holy shit, what's Christian Bale's Patrick Bateman. Thank you. Yeah.
Definitely.
Especially with like the synth pop and like like I totally got like a Patrick Bateman vibe a little bit.
Yeah.
The music, listen, I don't cook a lot, but like to wear a white T-shirt and to have
Raven Shadow. By the way, like unwrapping an Uncrustable is not cooking at all. I'm just want to let you know that that's not cooking.
First of all, don't embarrass me in front of Liz. Okay. Second of all, have an apron on. Nothing got on his white T-shirt, and he was tenderizing like a mug.
Yeah,
some of those.
That scene was actually pretty fucking awesome when he was dancing around the kitchen.
Dancing, like he definitely had a passionate, plucky spirit for his extracurricular activities to being a doctor.
Yeah, I thought that the way that they went about that, like his side hustle, I guess we'll say, was interesting. The whole way that it was presented. I seriously would not be surprised if this is something that actually happens. Where where people enjoy, like this elite sort of upper echelon sort of enjoys, this whole idea of feeding off of others and like seeing about their life and like the packages he was putting together, like that was fucked up.
And should I send you a link?
Well, that's even more fucked up about. So is that the move? You go away for a weekend, so they pack their clothing.
Right. They take some belongings.
Right.
You're going to get your various garments. You're going to get your various accoutrements. So that you can package that in your prize pack.
Well, that was definitely what he was doing there.
Yeah.
So you're going away for 2 days. So you got to get a couple of different. You're going to have some socks. You're going to have some garments.
Well, you know what? You're going away for a romantic weekend with a new man. You're bringing some extra little lingerie.
To sweeten the. Yeah, right.
Would you do that, Aries? Would you bring extra lingerie?
Yes. I have numerous laceless.
Jesus. You get a lot of spikes.
Yeah.
And you know what? You're welcome for that visual.
Nightmares tonight for sure. Nightmares.
I guess I'll go to sleep never.
Yeah. Aries with that fucking beard. I could just, oh God. I was going to say more, but I'm not going to. Give myself
lace Teddy with the beard.
Yeah,
getting intertwined
with your chest hair poking out of it. Oh God, it's giving me the douche chills. Jesus. We're sorry, Liz. Liz isn't gonna be able to sleep
They
tonight.
may be. I'm not.
She's never gonna look at you the same at the shop, Raven Shadow.
Yeah, no,
Did you factor that into this, by the way?
I know Aries been talking about his fucking spike fetish.
My what fetish?
Your spikes or whatever the fuck you pack when you go to the Cape. But no, that's the thing. So like, there's that whole. It's almost like taking the whole like most dangerous game gimmick, or even like the movie The Freshman, The Great Freshman with Marlon Brando and Ferris Bueller, Matthew Broderick.
Jesus.
There he goes.
But no, where they had the whole gimmick where they would eat the endangered species. So now you're up in the ante with this other thing on the menu.
Oh my God! Can I just tell you? No, in no way does any of that relate.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A bit harsh.
And of course, now we're fucking roboting again, Raven Shadow. What the fuck, man?
I didn't touch it, dude.
I know you did. I'm just gonna do what we did earlier. I'm just gonna disconnect you.
You want me to go to a payphone?
Yeah, could you?
Yeah, could you? Yeah.
Go to the bat phone. All right, I'm gonna open up this computer. I'm gonna disconnect and then reconnect again with Raven Shadow because this is annoying, and I don't want our listeners to have to contend with this. All right, let me disconnect him, and then I do want to kind of wrap up the film discussion a little bit here because we're running a little late.
But we're having a good time.
Yeah, we are definitely. All right, so he's disconnected. He'll be gone in just a moment, and I'll get him back on.
Thank God.
I know. Now we can actually.
Is he still there? Okay.
Now we can have an intelligent conversation once again. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about. We talked a lot about the content and some of the sort of issues that the film brings up, but and Liz kind of addressed this a little bit earlier. I thought this is a really well shot film too. There's some really great shots in this, especially like there's some really good ones at the end. I won't say what's kind of going on, but when they're in the woods, there's some really great shots. Mm-hmm. And also I loved the sort of like the way there's a couple shots where the camera sort of like flipped like a 180 and like was all of a sudden like upside down, like looking at a plate. And I just thought there's some really interesting sort of technical wizardry that was done that made this film look really good, and it really stood out as just a good looking film.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like the cinematographer, I can't remember their name, but I think it was the same person who worked on Hereditary and Midsommar.
Oh, okay, cool. I'll look that up. Yeah, I'm actually kind of curious. That would make sense.
There was actually some good shots in the beginning when they were having a conversation, and it was done with a mirror, but it almost looked like camera trickery, where they seemed like they were looking past each other, but you just weren't seeing the real one of them and the mirror image of the other one.
Right.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Paweł Pogorzelski. I hope I'm saying that correctly. But yeah, he was the director of photography, cinematographer, and he had previously did Hereditary, Midsommar. Wow, it looks like he's actually slated to do Blue Beetle movie as well, which is kind of cool.
Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting thing DC are doing. Like they're getting horror directors, because I love James Wan. That's one of the reasons I was so crazy about Aquaman, because I'm a big fan of James Wan. That's interesting. They're getting another horror guy to work on Blue Beetle.
That's cool.
Well, here's the biggest travesty. You're saying Blue Beetle and Raven Shadow isn't here.
Right. Yeah, he just has to sit there and...
I'm wondering which Blue Beetle incarnation are they going to do?
Oh, it's going to be...
Ted Kord.
Oh, I thought it was going to be the new one. I can't remember his name now. What's the new Blue Beetle?
I don't know. Like there was a new Blue Beetle like 10 years ago. I can't even remember his name. It's Ted Kord back, in the mainstream DCU now. So I would think. Yeah,
because I do know that Blue Beetle, Jamie Reyes. That's the one I'm thinking of. Because he's going to be played by Miguel from the Cobra Kai series.
No, really? What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. I'm in.
So we may actually have a Ted Cord as well as like a mentor or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, it's going to be Jamie Reyes. It will be the
Oh, okay,
the
yeah,
Beetle.
like that's pretty awesome.
Raven Shadow's going to be so pissed when we tell him what we're talking about.
yeah.
Oh shit, I'm reconnecting him right now. We'll see. But yeah, I thought that was actually really good casting to have. I can't remember his the character.
I can't remember his name, but he's great. He's so
Yeah.
great. Yeah,
I think it's Zolo. I think is how you pronounce
Yeah,
it.
Zolo. Yeah, that's right.
Yep. So yeah, that's Raven Shadow. Are you there?
I think I am.
We were just talking about Blue Beetle. You missed it.
Ted Cord?
Ted Cord, Jamie Reyes.
Dan Garrett?
No, not Dan Garrett. Liz had brought up the cinematographer for this movie, Fresh, and it turns out he was a cinematographer for Hereditary and Midsommar. And so I looked into his filmography, and he's also signed on to do the cinematography for the Blue Beetle movie.
Yeah, but is it Jaime or is it?
Yes, is that how you say it? Is it Jaime or is it Jamie?
I think it's pronounced Jaime.
Okay, well, I thought it was
could be wrong.
Jamie Reyes, but either way, that's the character who, yeah, because as we just mentioned, we'll repeat it again because you weren't here. He'll be played by Miguel from Cobra Kai series.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You're not excited by that? You're oh really?
Oh, really?
I tried reading all 3 incarnations of that version of Beetle. And they're really not that good. But I'm interested in Miguel playing them. That's great.
Yeah, I dig that. That's
I love the.
That's
actor.
also not the Blue Beetle that I'm most familiar with either. But you know, if they're going that way, I'm pumped that it's going to be him in the role. So.
I mean, to be fair, that Beetle also was in Smallville on the same episode that Booster Gold appeared in.
Jesus. Any opportunity to bring up Smallville.
It comes full circle.
Oh, you know who else is in the Blue Beetle movie is Harvey Guillen, who is the awesome Guillermo from What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, really?
Yeah, fucking love Guillermo. So that's cool.
I did.
What's
well,
that?
Now, if we're digressing into some spin-off characters, I did mark out when Liz mentioned Danny Ketch on a recent episode, and that's my favorite Ghost Rider, is that incarnation of the character.
He's mine as well. He's the one I'm most familiar with.
Because that was some crazy stuff. The Mark Teixeira artwork, that stuff from the early 90s. That was some scary stuff. When Johnny Blaze was retired, he came back with long hair as more of the bounty hunter gunfighter type character. But yeah, I'm definitely a Danny Ketch mark. So
yeah, no, I need to sort of bone up on more Ghost Rider. Because I did read a bunch of that stuff, but it's been years since I really followed it, and it's really good. I love how hard it sort of leans into the horror stuff.
Yeah, some terrifying stuff.
Yeah, I'm not very. He's one of the characters I really didn't read much of. As you know, Raven Shadow, was always more of a DC guy back in the day, but I did branch out into some Marvel stuff. But yeah, I never really read much Ghost Rider, so I'm not familiar with either iteration, I guess. But let's get back to the film and kind of wrap up the discussion here, and so we can kind of move on and wrap things up. So, was there anything else about this film? I know we kind of jumped around a little bit, but was there anything else you guys thought was important to have as a discussion before we get into our final verdicts? Anything else that stood out to you guys?
For me, one of the things that stood out is the way that she navigated the situation with him. Was, in a way, it was kind of like navigating, a bad date where you sort of
Yeah.
have to fake that you're having a nice time. I mean, I liked that she used those tools to get herself out of the situation, but it was also really uncomfortable to watch. When she basically, they redeveloped this flirtatious relationship, where, she has to basically convince him that she still likes him, and he does still like her. And it's a really twisted sort of dynamic that they have between them. She's very clever to do so, but she also has to do some really horrible things in the process.
Yeah. Go ahead, Raven Shadow. Go ahead.
That's interesting too. I mean, so there's questions about another character too, of Stockholm syndrome, of what I was going to say about
tiptoeing around spoilers.
Yeah, I'm kind of to navigate.
Yeah,
so.
I know which character you're referring to, and yeah, I would agree with that, because the reveal of something about her was a bit of a surprise to me.
The note in the book, and
Yep.
the intimacy that two characters shared where maybe other characters didn't.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. I thought a lot of that stuff was really interesting, and I think Liz also makes another good point, is the way she navigated that was, when you say kind of a bad date, I think almost like an abusive relationship where you kind of have to go along with it, or it's just going to be really bad for you, and that this is unhealthy, that this is not good for you, but you almost have to just kind of, I imagine you have to play along until your opportunity to sort of try to get out. Because I was trying to look, we always kind of, well, not all of us, I try to look for subtext in this, and was trying to think of was this a correlation of what was going on in the kind of back half of this movie to how a relationship is. And, I was wondering, is Steve's character, of taking, was that sort of sort of an analogy for an abusive relationship of taking, and, and literally taking pieces of a person, I thought was a really interesting way of going about it, and showing how, in an abusive relationship, a woman has to sort of take so much,
Right. Yeah. And be broken down and, right. Yeah, that's absolutely a good metaphor.
Yeah. So I thought that was, a really interesting way to go about it. And also one other thing that kind of came to mind is the interaction between the women in this. We see sort of like a tale of two stories here. We see where there are women who listen and understand and believe, and help each other, and then there's the other side where they're an enabler for the guy, right? And to the point where they kind of deny their own agency and free will. So I thought that was an interesting juxtaposition there as well, to see sort of how that works. And this also culminates at the end, which I don't want to talk about, but, the scene in the woods, it kind of culminates, and we get a really strong sort of view of how that works, especially with the friend Molly, Noah's friend Molly, and also with the other character, the blonde character at the end. We kind of see that play out. And I thought that was a really interesting way to kind of show that.
Right. I loved one of the last lines, and I guess it would be kind of a spoiler to say what it was, but, the thing that Noah winds up being surprised by.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
I know what you mean. Exactly. Yeah.
Which, it's that's the thing that shocks her at the end.
Right. After
but
all
it was
that.
just, yeah, it was, made me laugh.
Yeah. I mean, I guess you have to, I mean, in a way, you have to find humor in some of it, or else it's just too fucking depressing. And even like in this, like Noah, you know, she does try to find humor in this fucking morbid sort of situation she finds herself in, and to the point where I like the interaction with her and Penny, you know, kind of like joking amongst each other, even though like these horrible things are happening, and they're just kind of like making jokes because that's their way to kind of cope with it, because they're in this horrible situation, and what else are you gonna do, right?
Yeah. I mean, there are some darkly comic moments. The screenwriter, Lauren Kahn, I think, has a background in comedy writing. I think she wrote shorts for Funny or Die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And yeah, there are just, you know, lots of little, you know, kind of snappy little moments and bits of dialogue that are quite funny, even, you know, sort of with the backdrop of all this, you know, horrible stuff going on.
Yeah, and earlier when I was mentioning the genre, I said, you know, I was kind of like saying that comedy might be a bit of a stretch, but I guess in a way this is like a dark comedy, because you almost have to, like, I don't know, you almost have to laugh at some of this because it's so dark, and like, you know, it does mirror real life in some ways. I mean, you know, like, and not in others, but you know, there are some things that are very much sort of, you know, an analogy to how people sort of function on day to day with relationships. So I can see how that was sort of like, you know, a call to that. But yeah, it's you know, I think in a sense it is just kind of a dark comedy where it's not like slapstick, and it's not one-liners, but it's almost so dark that you have to almost find some humor in some of the things that happen.
Yeah, and Sebastian Stan's, you know, his like take on this character is just like, you know, very kind of camp, and you know, and like he's having so much fun that you kind of can't help but have fun as well, even though he's just horrible, you know, but in that flashy Patrick Bateman-esque way.
Right. Yeah, I think I think that this is I don't know, I think it's a sort of, I don't want to say it's an American Psycho for, you know, this generation. I'm not going to go that far, but it is sort of like it has
parallels.
Yeah, parallels, and it does sort of like have the spirit of the sort of Patrick Bateman, like how he was like a you know, psychopath, and like, you know, a sociopath, you know, like, you know, and I would say that would be the same here of this character of Steve, you know, and because, you know, as sociopath, they might seem on the surface like a really nice person, but then when you get to know them, you know, not really so nice. So, but yeah, I think that this movie did a lot of things pretty well. So why don't we go to the verdict now, and then we'll find out exactly what everyone thought, and we'll find out everyone's verdict.
Trick or treat, baby.
I wonder if people would say you're a trick or a treat.
Trick or treat, motherfucker.
All right, it is verdict time. We're going to let you know whether this movie was a trick or a treat, and any final thoughts we may have. You know what? Since you enjoyed it so much last time, Aries, I'm going to kick it off with you.
Oh, damn. I'm not used to this going first shit.
I didn't want to put Liz on the spot anymore, so you go first.
Oh, she's been doing so good, Joe.
She has, I know.
Though. Yeah, no, this movie definitely was a treat. There was so much to enjoy about this movie. I will say that I am big on nitpicking about the wording with the description, and this movie definitely didn't need to have comedy being the first word in the description of it. There was huge elements of a dark comedy, but it wasn't based on that. The comedy aspect should have been the second or even the third thing mentioned as far as the description. But all in all, I mean, the portrayal of the characters was done brilliantly. The way Winter Soldier just portrayed that's you, Raven Shadow. The way he just portrayed that character, the confidence that he faked throughout the movie, where he was losing it at certain times, was done so brilliantly. We didn't even touch on it, but the bartender, I thought his character was great, and his ultimate
decision.
The way his character was just ultimately portrayed throughout the whole in his the ending of him was perfect. I couldn't ask for a more perfect character in this story. So check this out. This definitely is a treat.
All right. How about you, Raven Shadow?
No, I mean this. We've talked about this could be a very dark horror take on a Lifetime movie, and
I think you did.
Yeah,
okay, I guess
that was all you.
I guess I was the one, but
you were.
Yeah, just me, Johnny, just me. Thanks, buddy. But I think the absurdity this movie went to still. The message, there's still something there of shittiness, of what am I trying to say, of duplicity or manipulation, and it went in an absurd route to get there, but it's still the same. Like I watched this with Marion and watching some of those first date scenes, we're like, yep, that's exactly what it's like to be in that scene. And it sucks. It sucks that guys are dicks. Don't do bad shit. Message to everyone out there. Yeah. Don't do bad shit.
You should take your own advice for your shadow.
I don't do that bad shit.
No, you have your vices though. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Bad shit encompasses a lot, right?
Well, I ain't doing fucking. I ain't tenderizing.
True. All right. Fine.
It could be a gateway.
Yeah. Good. But no, I thought Sebastian Stan was great. Definitely channeled his Mark Harmon from the old TV movie where he played that serial killer. But I think it was a great. I enjoyed this movie a lot. So treat.
All right. Liz, let's hear your verdict. Was this film a trick or a treat? And feel free to toss in any other thoughts you might have.
For me, I enjoyed this film a lot. I was already sold as soon as I saw, it's Bucky. Great. That's always, I would have watched it anyway, because I love, pretty much everything he's done. So that was like a real draw for me anyway. But then, and then the film, I went in knowing absolutely nothing about it. I really enjoyed. I loved that big twist. I loved when we got there. I was like, that was when I was like, wow, okay, I'm in. And the way they handled that, I thought was so clever. And I thought it is rife with like really interesting ideas and insights in terms of like, what it's trying to say about, dating from a woman's perspective and kind of, and really getting into all different facets of that idea about, exploitation of women and just, the trust that you have to kind of, apply in different situations. Like you said, we have Steve, who, seemed like the trustworthy guy who turns out to be a sociopath. But then we actually have a character like the bartender, who is actually the only decent man in the entire film. So it's not trying to just say men are bad. Like it's just giving you this woman's perspective. Like, okay, this is the battlefield you have to navigate if you're going to go out into this, this dating world where you are going to meet someone that you've never met. All you've done is exchange maybe a text or something. That's scary, or can be. And, I like that they kind of took that idea and, really ran with it. I just really enjoyed the performances as well. And, and I thought it was a beautifully made film, really well directed from a first time director. I'll definitely be looking out for more of her stuff, Mimi Cave. So treat for me.
Awesome. And I'm glad you called that out because, previous to this, she's only done shorts and some music videos. So, we usually like to talk about first time features, and that was something I neglected to mention. So I'm glad you brought that up because, this is really impressive for a first feature. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the movie we talked about earlier, Promising Young Woman, I think was also a feature film debut from writer-director Emerald Fennell. I'm just actually double checking because I'm pretty sure that was her. So that was her directorial debut as well, which was a really powerful movie. It's really interesting to see Mimi Cave that this is her first feature. But for me, this is a big treat. I really dug this. I think it does. I think movies, Ravenshaw, I know you cringe sometimes when I use this word. But I think that this is an important film because it does show, especially, I mean, I guess it works for both sides, but for us, for guys, like it really kind of shows the experience for a woman in going through like online dating or, walking down a dark road, and things like that. It really kind of shows a perspective that we don't have or don't see. So I think it's important for us to kind of see these things, and and also like I know that there's like a lot of the things that happen in this movie can be taken as sort of a analogous to relationships and abusive relationships. So I think that's also something we can kind of learn from. I mean, not necessarily what happens in this movie, but literally taking a piece of a woman and just kind of using them, right? I mean, that's kind of what he did in a sense for, to really kind of dumb it down. So I think there's a lot that we can glean from this and also to get that perspective. And I do think that that's important as we sort of like continue this conversation of toxic masculinity and our role in helping to wipe it away. So I think that seeing this stuff is really good and, maybe a tough watch at times, especially Promising Young Woman, but something like this, it's sort of a little bit more fantastical at times where it's not a direct kind of like trigger as like, oh my God, I've been through this, so I think that in that sense, it makes it a little bit more palatable for some people. So I dug this, and I think the performances were good. Sebastian Stan you could tell he was having fun with this role. I have not seen any films to my knowledge with Daisy Edgar Jones, but I thought she played the role of Noah really, really well, like very vulnerable at times and also confident in others, So, I think that she really played this well, and I liked her in this. The last thing I want to bring up, we didn't talk about, was I know we bring up the usage of cell phones in movies, and I actually thought that they were used like really cleverly in this, because a lot of times, like in horror movies especially, like a a cell phone can be sort of like a get out of jail free card. Like you call the cops and the fucking movie's over, like, so you always need to come up with ways as to why they can't function or whatever. But, I thought that the way that this worked, especially when Molly was sort of doing some investigating, I thought that there was a really cool usage of the phone in that. And then also as sort of an identifier later on, I thought was also really kind of telling. So I thought that they did a good job of using something that, we literally, have, in our hands almost all the time, or right near him as I'm holding mine up, So, I thought that it was good to sort of like embrace it and work off of that, as opposed to try to like push them aside and not even address it. So I like that. But yeah, I think this is a treat for me, and I dug this, and definitely am looking forward to seeing what Mimi Cave does after this, and also Lauren Kahn, the writer. So there you have it, our discussion of Fresh. It is available on Hulu. You guys can check it out there. And there is if you don't subscribe to Hulu, there's a free trial. So if you want to check it out, you can get that free trial. So. For next week, we actually, once again, we're still getting the ink dry on the contract for next week, so we don't have any announcements in terms of the film, but we'll figure that out in the coming days. And like I did this past week, we'll put that on social media in the Discord, and then also on on the socials and stuff like that. So keep an eye out, and we'll let you guys know what film we're going to be doing next week, and look forward to next week's discussion. Now, we're going to start wrapping up the show, Liz. We only have a few voice messages. I don't want to keep you longer than needed. Do you want to stick around for the next 10, 15, or is this, or should we say, okay, so you can kind of hear our crazy voice messages. There's only a few, and I think they're brief this week. So first up, I believe we're going to hear a review of the film we just talked about. So let me go ahead and play the voice message from Evil Corny.
Hey guys, this week's film Fresh, I'm going to give a treat. I saw it this past weekend before I even knew that you all were going to cover it this week. But I really thought everything was executed well on this film. One of the posters I saw before I posted might have spoiled what was going on this film, but I thought everything was, like I said, executed well on it. I had a lot of fun with it. With last week's film, Hellbenders, I really liked that film. I was kind of undecided, and I gave it a rewatch last week. But I really want to go through the Addams Family's other films and kind of see some of their other films that they've made. Also, last week, the whole family was on Zombie Girls podcast where they, had an interview with the four of them, and I thought that was real neat. You all have a good one. Evil Corny out.
All right, Corny. I was waiting for a shout out there, but it didn't happen. But I appreciate you giving your thoughts on the film, Corny. And it's funny, like I was literally about to post that we were going to be checking out Fresh, and I saw that he had posted on social media that you just watched it. So, but appreciate hearing your perspective. And also, yeah, I've actually been meaning, I saw the Zombie Girls interviewed the Addams Family who directed Hellbender. So I'm kind of curious to listen to that because I haven't done so yet. So, all right. Thanks, Corny. Now we're going to check in from the future Raven Shadow. Down under, we're going to check in with Tim Chuma. Tim from Melbourne. Let's hear from Tim.
Bombaleo. Tim from Melbourne here again. Just had the Supernova and Comic-Con in Australia, which is a different one to the American one, kind of their own thing. I just went on the Saturday because went out on the Friday to a band and got rained on the way home and stuff. So, yeah, only up for doing the Saturday. And I'd already talked to John Jarrett, so I didn't really need to meet him. Just walked around and looked at the cosplayers, went to the stalls. Got a couple of things from that. Just an art book from one of the artists I'd been doing life drawing with, who comes onto the streams, but doesn't come into the live drawing because he lives out near the country. A couple of the comics I got from there from one of the stalls in the artist area. Frankie's Ozploitation, which was a comic based on fake Ozploitation horror movies, and then it's framing device of setting in a haunted drive-in. And the other one was Frankie's Axe Murder double feature, which is the one based on slasher movies. That's probably the better one, but you can get both of them off the Bad Harvey website, and that's actually Australian comic, which I'd never heard of before. And yeah, took some photos on my phone of all the people in that. It was a lot of people, a lot more anime based because it's a smaller market here, and they have to they're the only ones that can get the people out for the international guests and stuff. Walked around for a bit, for a few hours, about a few miles, as you'd say, and then come home because I was really tired. I didn't get home until 2 the previous night from the gig. Just spent today just writing stuff up and finished all the photos and put them up on the website. All right, thank you. Bye.
Awesome. Well, it sounds like more cons are happening, so that's always a good thing. So it sounds like Tim had a good time. I saw some of the photos he posted. So appreciate you checking in, Tim, and letting us know about your experience. Are any of you guys planning on going to any cons anytime soon?
There is Wicked Con coming up on the 9th of April, which I'm hopefully going to attend.
Wicked Con. Is that in Mass?
It is in Mass.
Okay.
It's not one that I've, ever been to before, but it looks very comic-centric, which I like.
Oh, okay. Okay, I think I actually am familiar with this one for some reason. Yeah. Okay, so this one is, this is it's kind of a big one. It's at the West in the Seaport District. So yeah, okay. I think I have seen that one. Cool. I don't have any plans to go to any, but I see a lot of people are, kind of making plans to go to some conventions over the, coming up in the spring and summer. So hopefully everything, fingers crossed, things are able to remain. I did get, I had tickets to a concert just refunded that I bought the tickets like 2.5 years ago. And so they kept postponing. And Ravenshaw, you'd be happy to hear it was Devin Townsend. Unfortunately, the show got canceled, but he's going to be doing another tour soon, so we'll see. But I had tickets for another concert as well that kept getting delayed, but that's still happening in October to see Wardruna, so that should be fun. But yeah, I mean, hopefully we're able to do shit because I think a lot of people are just ready to get out there and see other people and hang out and share similar interests and all that. All right, we have 2 more voice messages. First one is from Kermit. I don't know if this is Kermit the Frog or I don't know. Like, we'll find out. Let's hear from Kermit.
Hello, this is Kermit the Frog. Do you want to buy a pack of smokes?
It's a bit of shit in the words, yeah, man.
What's your name there, pal?
My name's Raven Shadow, man. I smoke 5 packs a day.
Smoking is not good for you, my friend.
That's it. Do you really smoke 5 packs a day now, Raven Shadow?
Perhaps I'm sending the wrong message.
I think Liz is getting a different perspective.
Yeah, that's good. Are
you sure you this was a smart idea for you, Raven Shadow? Oh shit, that's funny. Well, thanks, Kermit. Kermit's fucking knocking you out, man. Are you okay? Are you okay with Kermit knocking you out?
Yeah, well, I mean, we got Robin over here from his nephew from Monster Zero, so.
Wow, that's a fucking blast from the past. All right, we have one more voice message in Raven Shadow. This is from the Vegan King of Wales. We're going to hear from your boy Linus.
Hello, Trick or Treat Radio. How's it going? It's Linus. Yeah, I haven't seen this week's movie, but I did see last week's Hellbender. Like everybody else, I thought it was pretty great. I hadn't heard of it before you guys put it on my radar. But after watching it, I checked out the Zombie Girls episodes, one reviewing the movie and going into the backstory, and one interviewing the filmmakers. And yeah, like super interesting, super cool. Made me like it even more. It's really well shot, pretty well acted, generally really well made. And yeah, and like people have said, their band seems really cool as well. Talk about doing a lot with a little. Yeah. After that, I checked out their previous movie, The Deeper You Dig, which I didn't like as much, but I did like. So yeah, I'm excited to see whatever the Addams family get up to next. Other than that, this weekend I watched The Batman twice. It's fucking amazing. It's easily the best live-action Batman movie ever, and Pattinson is easily the best live-action Batman.
Wow.
Like, he's not doing a silly bat voice, and there's no heavy-handed expository speeches. No one says, sometimes at the start of the movie, someone says a thing, and then at the end of the movie, that thing happens, and then we say the same thing we said at the start of the movie again, just to make sure you understood it. There's none of that. It's just a really well-plotted film noir Batman detective story. Very accurate to the comics, and just a very, very well-made film. Those 3 hours flew by both times, and I'm probably going to go see it again. It's fucking rad. And yeah, and the score is amazing. Like the theme for Batman is essentially just like this set to music. Fucking Batman, fucking Batman. Yeah. So yeah, don't wait for streaming, man. Get out there and go fucking see it multiple times. It's fucking rad. All right, bye.
Fucking Batman. Is that kind of how it is, Liz?
It's kind of how it is, yeah. Now I'm just going to think that every time.
Oh, shit. Well, awesome to hear from you, Linus. Thanks for checking in, man. Glad you dug Hellbender. And, man, if Liz was selling me earlier, but I think I got to go see it in theaters now. I think I got to find a way.
I love Linus so much.
I know. You're going to message him? You're going to message somebody? As opposed to asking for them to message you?
No, I like when they message me, but Linus and I correspond a lot.
You vibe?
No, we correspond.
Oh, okay.
That's what I said.
Wow, you correcting someone else for putting words in your mouth. That's a shift.
Yeah,
you're usually speaking for everyone else.
Yeah, well, okay, thank you.
All right. Well, I think that's it for voice messages. So, Linus, thanks, man. Good to hear from you. I'm going to be singing fucking Batman all night now. So, thanks for that. Let's see. So, yeah. So, we are not sure what the film is going to be next week, but we will certainly let you guys know. But before we start to wrap up, Liz, thank you. This was fucking awesome. You were a pleasure to have on the show, super knowledgeable, and I'm so glad that you were able to join us for this talk because I thought it was a super interesting discussion for Fresh. So thank you, and I want you to let the folks know where they might be able to find you once again in case they forgot or, just need a reminder.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I had a great time. If you are looking for any of my podcasts and or content like written stuff, you can go to my website, which is lizcjordan.com. My Twitter and Instagram, all that stuff is also Liz C. Jordan, at Liz C. Jordan. And you can find a backlog of some of our older podcasts on the Comic Crush website, which is thecomiccrush.com. And yeah, do hit me up on Twitter. That's probably the social thing that I use the most. I don't use it a ton, but I check it probably at least once a day. So
cool.
I would love to hear from any of you guys watching as well. So
yeah, so everyone go check out Liz's stuff. I checked out some of the podcasts and had a lot of fun with them. So if you guys, check out Comic Crush, check out her website, and keep an eye out on social for any additional things coming up. So once again, Liz, thank you so much for joining us and for making us sound more intelligent than we actually are.
My pleasure.
And there's probably going to be some stories about Raven Shadow going around the comic shop.
I'll never tell.
There you go. Your secret's safe, Raven Shadow. Your secret identity is safe. Thank you. All right, so we're going to go around and say our goodbyes. So let's begin with Aries.
All right, Liz, it was nice having you on. It was nice meeting you, and goodbye to everyone.
Nice to meet you as well.
All right, Raven Shadow.
Liz, thank you so much for coming on.
No, my pleasure. It was really fun.
Until next time, live fast, love hard, survive with your mask on.
All right, so that is going to do it for episode 502 of Trick or Treat Radio. Once again, big thanks to Liz. Everyone go check out her stuff on her website and also the Comic Crush, and check her out on Twitter and all that good stuff. And who knows, if Liz didn't have a miserable time, maybe we'll see her back one day. So
maybe we could.
And if you guys dug hearing Liz on the show, let us know. Let her know. Let us know. We always appreciate hearing from you guys and hearing your feedback. We're navigating these murky waters as a trio, me, Aries, and Raven Shadow, and we like the dynamic of having four people. So we want to sort of see who you guys enjoy hearing on the show, and if we can make it happen where we can get them back on the show, then we will make that happen. So your feedback is invaluable. So yeah, once again, thanks, Liz, and that is going to wrap it up for this show. So of course we'll be back next week. We'll let you guys know what the film is on social media. Keep an eye out for that, and yeah, I don't know, watch out when you're internet dating. It's dangerous out there, man. All right, well, that's going to do it. We'll see you guys next week.